In the event of a water damage emergency, call PuroClean of Cenla.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good Saturday morning, July 5th. I hope you made it through the 4th of July safely. We did. We had some fireworks fun, but in a limited window. I know people like to shoot them off for 9 weeks around the 4th of July, but we did it for about 45 minutes safely and in a location that is legal and out of the city limits, so do not worry about that. And we checked with the local dogs first. We actually didn't, but we did do some fun fireworks stuff for the kids. Nice and early too. We were done by like 9:30. Got out of there and got back in bed by, I don't know, I think I fell asleep around midnight last night. Late one for me. Here's Toledo Bend on July 5th. Nobody out there. I did see a couple of boats running through the bridge this morning. And then here in Alexandria, we have clear skies. Looks like today we're going to see rain chances pretty low. Actually, no, we did have a couple of little cumulus clouds pop up, and there is our friend. We'll name him Alan, the Wasp. He is there all the time, and you'll see him kind of floating around on this thing. So, so we have a few fair weather clouds popping this morning, and I think we're going to see a few showers in the area today, but obviously nothing like what's happening out in Texas. Another round of significant flash flooding last night, and this has prompted some more flash flood emergencies northwest of Austin. And I'm going to show you the totals on this and everything. Just an absolutely horrifying situation out there. In the hill country of Texas. There's not enough I can say about it, but I can at least take you through and kind of show you what happened here and talk a little about that. Actually, this heavier stuff under this flood warning, where we have isolated totals estimated on radar up around 20 inches, that's mainly out of what's happened this past night. Now, this didn't fall. I haven't looked too deeply into this one. What happened yesterday, last night, or the morning of the 4th, we had that fall into that Guadalupe River basin, a very dangerous basin because the terrain out there does not allow for that water to escape. So we had a 26-foot rise on part of that river in 45 minutes. They had, I look back. I like to go back and look at this stuff after it's finished, which, for yesterday's event, they had a forecast in place for up to 5 to 7 inches of rain. It's rare out there to see that kind of rain, and they ended up getting over 12 in isolated spots, and that was enough to really change the game. And what was extra, this was the literal perfect storm of bad, because this came on a holiday weekend. All these campsites are full. This came at night. So this all started up in the evening, really ramped up. They had flood warnings going out by midnight. They had the discussions on everything. But by the time that water was coming through and by the time they actually had the flash flood emergencies out, it was already in progress. And it was just a rough situation. And the National Weather Service, they did their best work and to try and get all this information out there. And again, I haven't done like a forensic deep dive into it, but just an awful situation all around with those results. Widespread 6+ inches of rain, and out in that hill country terrain, that is possibly what happens. And we saw something similar with the river rise in 1987. And then this one came along yesterday, just a tragic event out there. And I'll be following along with that today. I don't want to saturate the feed with things like that, especially because it's such terrible news. And I'm not the expert. I'm not out there, close in on this one. But I'll be watching this story and watching for any positive developments if anything comes out. 80 to 85 area wide right now, pushing 90 already in New Orleans. A very warm and steamy day out there in, the whole state. Winds are light too. I actually, I said I'm going down to Grand Isle. I'm looking at the weather forecast down there a lot. I'm looking at the live cameras. Man, there's no waves out there. It's beautiful. So just some isolated storms for today. Outside of that, not a lot of wind. It's going to be hot out there. I have a lot of outdoor work to do, which is just awesome in July. You love being outside for this, but maybe I'll get lucky and a storm will pop up. Only a 20% coverage on that, so I think I'm going to be out there doing my thing today. And tomorrow we do the same thing, although I think we get a little bit more coverage, maybe a few more robust cells out there with those scattered storms. And it looks like I have a dog or cat. There's a cat walking around. I've never seen that one. Uh-oh. So that's my cat now, I guess. That's the way we do it around here. So scattered storms tomorrow, and then we'll do that again for the next 7 days. And I see when I bent down there, you could see the top of my giant bald head. True story. I was buying fireworks yesterday on 71. There was a little stand there on the south end of town. I was on that little service road, and my nephew pulls up, and he says, "I spotted your bald head from the highway." So he came by to say hi. So it's a beacon to bring in the family to say hi. So we have those general thunderstorms in the area today. Possibly, you get that isolated severe storm, though I don't think so today. We did see that a couple of days ago. That was what kept me chasing out there on Forest Hill in Forest Hill when I was coming back from Baton Rouge. Mid-90s, so it is going to be very warm and humid today, but we are going to see the rain chances pretty low, kind of like yesterday. Hey, we have Tropical Storm Chantal. This storm is right there. You can see that thing slowly crawling up toward Myrtle Beach. Winds 45-ish. Going to be some rain out of this thing. Not going to be a massive windstorm with those winds maxing out at about 45 and a lot of that out over the ocean. Here's what it looks like on the satellite. And again, you can see that thing go. And this is our tropical storm out here moving up toward the Carolinas. Everything kind of lopsided out to the right. We have southwesterly shear over this one, so you can see most of that with that center right about here. Everything's on the eastern side of that. And then there is last night's blow up of intense thunderstorms over the Texas Hill Country. It doesn't look quite as impressive as what we saw the night before, but it actually was. So this one's just a little more small and concentrated. But a couple of areas watching on satellite there. We have the tropical system, and then the more impressive thing is that inland system over Texas. Quarter inch to an inch of rain roughly over the next 7 days. Again, you can see that in 7 minutes. You can see that spread out over a few days, kind of catching the edge of a shower. And there's somebody out there who's going to end up with 3 inches out of this. So that's why weather forecasting in the summer can be tricky, because these storms do pop up. We had an isolated one about 5 miles south of us in LeCount yesterday, right as the fireworks displays were about to start going. And I texted my friend who does the display in Alexandria, and I was like, hey, you got lucky, because there's like a 3% coverage, but there's this one heavy cell between LeCount and Cheneyville. Had that parked itself right over the display, we would have had issues. Unfortunately, we did not. Scattered storms for the next 7 days, 40 to 50% coverage apart from today, highs in the mid-90s and overnight lows in the mid-70s. So that's what it looks like for the next week, and you guessed it, from the July 13th to July 19th timeframe, slightly above normal temperatures and slightly above normal precipitation. Going to keep us in that scattered activity with those thunderstorms, and that's just kind of the way we're going to go until we see what the tropics decide to do as they try to activate here in the coming months now, or in the coming weeks. We have seen a third storm here with Chantal, but these have all been very weak and brief so far. So while we are a little ahead of the game on where we are on those names, we're not seeing those significant storms. Remember, last year we had Beryl. That was a Category 5 out in the Caribbean, and that came inland in Texas in July. Very significant storm, and now we're already on name number 3 here, but no significant impacts just yet. Yes, I will stay hydrated. I will be careful. I will do all that stuff. And yes, praying for Texas and praying for some miracles out of there, because I know there are still a lot of folks missing, a lot of kids missing, and it's just a crushing thing. It was hard to go to sleep last night thinking of all that stuff. But I am going to get out of here for today. I will be live tomorrow once again. I don't know if it'll be more. It'll be evening. I do know that. We'll do that in the evening. I'll come on, talk about weather, tell you it's going to be scattered storms again, and then I am out for a few days. Actually, so here's the deal. I go to Grand Isle Monday, and then I come back Thursday. Then Thursday I pack up. I fly up to St. Louis for my uncle's 80th birthday party, and then I bring my mom down here, so we'll throw her on camera at some point. I'll get her in the studio, and we will chat her up. Maybe I should interview her on what it was like to mother such a child. Okay, I will see you back here tomorrow evening, and I hope you have a great weekend.